he's done an outstanding job here in Miami.
12th season with the Canes, 39th season overall. Our officials tonight, Roger Ayers, A.J. Desai, and Doug Sermons. Jumping it up and winning the tip will be Norchad Omier for Miami in the white jerseys, St. Francis of Brooklyn in the blue.
Look for Miami to do a lot of dribble drive.
As Nigel Pack does just that to start the scoring.
Well, they really want to attack the basket. That's their motto this year.
St. Francis playing without Rob Higgins, their senior preseason all-league selection. He is out today with an upper body injury. Did not play in the second half of their last game against St. Peter's. He averages about 6 points a game and leads the team in assists. Tedrick Wilcox, high-arching three is good. Wilcox, a senior from Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
He is a really good three-point shooter. And one of the things St. Francis has to figure out, do they make adjustments to play this Miami team, or do they run the things that they normally going to run once they get in the conference play?
Keep an eye on for the Hurricanes down low. Omier, mismatch, fouled. No traveling called against Omier, as he had a much smaller defender on him.
He didn't get his feet set that time, but you can see Miami is really trying to integrate him into their offense.
St. Francis comes in 2-2. Victories over a Division III school, Mount St. Mary, and then St. Peter's. Of note, St. Francis is playing back-to-back Elite Eight participants, which you wouldn't quite anticipate, but St. Peter's and Miami both made it all the way to the Elite Eight last year. Losses on the road at Minnesota and at St. Thomas of Minnesota as the long three's off the mark. Harris follows it up and in.
You know, at shoot-around today, Coach Larinaga told his team, we have to generate our own energy. You know, it's Thanksgiving, the students are away. I don't know how many fans we're going to get. We have to get off to a quick start. We have to get our own energy going in this building tonight.
To the rim, Poplar, crazy shot, rebounded by the Terriers. Pushing in transition, up ahead, Moreno, off glass, and he'll go to the line. And this is exactly the kind of start that Glenn Breica and St. Francis wanted. Get out, build some confidence.
Without question. They feel, St. Francis really feels like they can attack. This Miami team is not as big as last year's team. And last year's team had trouble rebounding the ball, but they made it up with their defensive pressure, turnovers, and they got easy baskets. Coach Larinaga is trying to get this Miami team to fall in line the same way.
Larry Moreno, 9 out of 9 from the free throw line this season, a fifth-year senior from Brooklyn. Comes off a 19-point game against St. Peter's on Saturday and was 6 out of 8 from the field in that game. And he has given St. Francis a 5-point lead early.
This St. Francis team is not going to back down. They played against tough competition. You see they come out with some full-court pressure. This is the way they normally like to play once they get into league play.
This is Nigel Pack, the Kansas State transfer, highly sought after in the portal, a third-year sophomore. Isaiah Wong, the star of last year's NCAA tournament run, rebounded by Harris. Roy Clark has the ball. He got the start in place of Higgins, the injured point guard.
Miami will try to get in the passing lane. Look for St. Francis to try to take advantage of that.
Nice lead from Moreno to Cyrus Grigsby for a score. And it's 9-2 early in favor of the Terriers. Pack will shoot a three. And the rebound tracked down eventually by St. Francis and Roy Clark.
Right now, St. Francis is able to play at a pace where they can execute and run their offense.
Inside, hook shot is off the mark for Grigsby. Rebound fought for. Pack comes away with it for the Canes. Running 1-on-3. Pack forcing the issue, and he draws the foul.
Great move there by Pack. Instead of trying to fade away from the defense, he went into the defense and actually created the contact and was able to get to the line.
Nigel Pack was first team All Big 12 last year. We talked about the couple of transfers they brought in. We focused on Omier in the open, but Pack, first team All Big 12 at Kansas State, averaged 17 a game and shot 44% from beyond the arc.
One of the things Coach Larinaga told us at shoot-around today is in the fall, they try to go out and get high school players. When the season's over in the spring, most of the better high school players are gone, so then they go into the portal and try to come up with guys that fit the way they play, and Pack and Omier both did that.
Both widely acknowledged among the top 10 or so players in the transfer portal after last year, and they both came to Miami. Pack breaks a 9-0 St. Francis run. He has all 4 Canes points. Weave action here for the Terriers. Inside for Grisby with 6 on the shot clock. Going one-on-one. Reverse layups up and in. Cyrus Grisby with 4 points.
Whenever you're in a game like this, I think you have to set the tempo defensively. And I think you have to force your will on the other team. Right now, Miami is letting St. Francis run whatever it is that they want to run and then hoping to get a rebound.
Wong, alley-oop, knocked away from Omier and a foul. Josiah Harris the foul, his first. St. Francis off to the quick start. With 230 wins at Miami coming into today's game. He's one of only 4 coaches all time with 150 wins at 3 different Division I schools. Put into perspective what kind of accomplishment that is.
That is a tremendous accomplishment. I knew Jim when I first got into business, and he's always been a basketball purist. He's a teacher first. He really tries to inspire young people. He's done a great job here at Miami.
39th season overall, 700 career victories, spanning his time at American International, Bowling Green, George Mason, and now Miami.
They see Miami trapping the ball screen. They have to do something to pick up the tempo.
Wilcox makes them pay. He's got 5 points early on.
Really been impressed with the way St. Francis, though, has been able to handle the ball and control the pace of this game. This is the young man I think has to get going for Miami, is Wong. He's shown his ability to force his will, create stuff offensively, and get the ball inside.
Pack's contested jumper goes through. He's got 6. Wong leads the team in scoring, assists, and steals, but hasn't gotten going so far yet to score.
Well, sometimes, he's trying to get used to playing with Pack, and sometimes you have to defer, and he's letting Pack initiate the offense.
Strong take by Moreno will earn him a trip to the line. Foul on Pack, his first.
See, this is where the lack of size that Miami has, they have to be able to compensate for that because they really don't have a pure rim protector. They expect Miller and Popular to do a good job. They're very active wings, very athletic wings, so they denied rotations and penetration, but they need somebody that closes down that rim.
Into the game for Miami, Bensley Joseph, along with Anthony Walker, possibly a rim protector at 6'9".
That's what they hope to get out of Walker. That's what they hope to get out of Walker. His development to be able to come in there and protect that rim is critical.
This is not the same Miami team that went all the way to the Elite Eight last year. They lost a lot from that team. 3 starters, Cameron McGusty, 18 points a game, first team All-ACC. Charlie Moore, so steady. Sam Wardenberg, versatile post player. So having to replace those pieces, you don't just come 5 games into the season and just hit the ground running. It takes time to develop that chemistry.
You don't, and that's why the schedule before you get into your conference season is really important in preparing your team to get ready for the rough conference ride.
Poplar down the lane, stripped away, and out of bounds to the Terriers. Bensley Joseph into the game, was running the point on that last possession for Miami, which led briefly 2-0 in this game, but watch St. Francis go on a 9-0 run. Terriers have led ever since.
And they're getting confidence. I mean, what you want to do is when a team comes into your building, you want to try to knock them out early and not let them build some confidence and some flow. Trapping the ball screen, trying to get St. Francis out of what they like to do.
Offensive foul on Cyrus Grisby, his first.
If Walker can move his feet like that, great move of the feet right there through the charge, that young man will get some playing time. Coach Larinaga talked about with us earlier, trying to get the bench in the game, trying to get the young guys developed.
Zion Bethea checks into the game for St. Francis. Also into the game, Nuha Sanya, a junior big man, 6'10". Miami comes in with a 4-1 record. Most recently beat Providence at Mohegan Sun and then suffered their first loss of the season by 18 points against the very impressive Maryland team out of the Big Ten. Good skip pass. Wide open. Joseph the three. And rebounded on the weak side by Cyrus Grisby, who's been very active so far. Clark, step back free throw line jumper. And rebounded by the Canes' Norchad Omier, who's averaging a double-double, 14 and 10. He traveled.
Yeah. See, I think when Miami gets the basketball like that, they really want to push it. They really want to attack. And you see Coach Larinaga, and he's kind of telling them, push it, push it, push it. Omier, when he wants him to rebound the ball, kick it to a guard, go fill the lane. They call it rim run, get to the front of the rim, let us get you the ball, let us get you an easy shot.
And Miami really thrived last year when they went to that sort of small ball and pushing the tempo. They were devastating in transition. Trapped, stolen away by Bensley Joseph. Racing in and lays it in.
That's one of the things Joseph does. Defensively, he comes in, he really heats up the pressure.
Canes turning up the defensive pressure. Again, St. Francis playing without its starting point guard tonight, Rob Higgins. Feed it inside for Grisby. Faces up, shoots it from short range. And the rebound comes away to Wong. Wong down the lane, lays it up and in.
That's what Wong does really well. He attacks the basket, and you saw him that time. They really did a good job of pushing the basket.
ESPN app. 7-4 Wake Forest takes on 7-4 Duke in the Tobacco Road series that dates back to 1924. It's at 3:30 Eastern, then at 8 Eastern. This series dates back to 1950. 7-4 Pitt has won 3 straight. They take on a Miami team looking to get bowl eligible. Turnover for the Miami basketball team. Throwing it down. Anthony Walker rocks the rim.
Great defensive pressure that time by Miami. This is what they have to do. They have to get their offense from their defense. They're trapping that dribble handoff and creating a lot of problems for St. Francis.
See what kind of adjustments Glenn Brica can make. Rejected out of bounds by Norchad Omier.
Great job right there. You see the trap, steal, kick it out, finish with a flourish.
A.J. Casey, a freshman from Chicago, checks into the game. Also coming in, Nigel Pack for Wong, as Omier will check out of the game.
One of the things Coach Larinaga is working on is his rotation and trying to develop his bench, because he knows December, January is going to be really difficult. The more players he can get ready to play, the better Miami will be.
Rebound by Walker, who's been very active since coming in off the miss by Wilcox. Down the lane, awkward shot and a foul. Bensley Joseph will go to the line. And that's really, you want to win these games. Obviously, that's the #1 goal, but you don't want to be tinkering with your rotations when you're playing Duke and Carolina. You want to get those rotations and build that confidence now.
I'm going to tell you a secret. Coaches kind of put game in their schedule that they think they can tinker with things and make some adjustments and still win. And I know Joseph has made a huge impact in coming in this game, defensively getting Miami back to that pressure that they like to utilize.
Bensley Joseph, a sophomore from Arlington, Mass, just outside of Boston, has really come on this year. Just about 2 points a game last year in 13 minutes, up to 6 points a game early this season in about 20 minutes a game.
he's really strong. He's got a real strong upper body. He gets up underneath the guard. He moves his feet extremely well. He keeps really good pressure on the ball.
Came into the game shooting 56% from the field, very good for a guard, and also 42% from beyond the arc. Ties the game at 15. Harris, nice catch. Rejected by Casey. Harris, second opportunity, scores.
Good job that time by Harris. We talked about him in the open as far as really how well he plays around the basket. He has to be a force tonight.
First year at St. Francis for Josiah Harris. Played at Hutchinson Community College out in Kansas. Came into the game averaging 10 points and 10.5 rebounds a game. Down the lane, Walker, dipsy-do. And rebound, Zion Bethea. One of the coaching staffs calling out for no ball screens. Three-pointer is up and short. Rebounded by the Canes.
Yeah, Miami has taken them out of those ball screens by doubling them.
Three-pointer is good. Quick trigger from Nigel Pack, who has 9 points.
That's one of the things that he brings to this Miami team. He is a really good three-point shooter.
He started this season very strong. About 15 a game over his first two, just about half that over those last three. Already has 9 points here early, splitting the double. Moreno. Grisby not really a three-point shooter.
But St. Francis is so used to playing off of ball screens. Now that Miami has taken them out of it, now it's forcing them to go one-on-one, which is not really their strength. But they're doing a good job on the offensive glass. Miami has to clean up their offensive rebounding.
And that was really a weakness for Miami, even in their terrific season last year.
Yes, but they were able to kind of overcome that because they were getting turnovers and run-outs off their defense. So they were able to manufacture points and take away shot opportunities for their opponents.
Pack is on fire. Nigel Pack with 12 points.
I think defensively they thought he was going to use a screen, and the screen never came, and Pack just backed up a step and buried the jump shot.
Third-year sophomore from Indianapolis. By way of Kansas State, where he spent a couple of years. Was the Big 12's most improved player last year as well. We mentioned 17 a game for Pack last season. Grisby down the lane. Strong take, came up short on the left-handed layup. Rebounded by Miami. Running in transition, laying it up and in.
Walker does a great job of getting out in transition for a big. And if he can do that all year and beat other bigs down the floor, he's going to create a lot of easy opportunities for himself.
Junior from Baltimore, Anthony Walker. Primarily a backup behind Wardenberg last year. In amongst the trees, Roy Clark, he is fouled.
See, but I think sometimes guards get too deep. That time, I think Clark has been doing a good job, but he got too deep, not knowing what decision he was going to make with the basketball. He got fouled and kind of got bailed out, but you have to kind of know what you're going to do before you get that deep. You see, 3 Miami players are right there.
Perhaps the only thing that can slow Nigel Pack down is foul trouble. That was his second foul, although he'll stay in the game for now. And now he will check out. So Pack, who's got 12 points already, will go out with 2 fouls.
See, Miami was able to get the lead with Miller, Popular, out of the game, also with Wong. So that shows you how Coach Larinaga is trying to develop this bench so that he can get a lead and rest some of the starters and be fresh and really wear people down.
2 free throws for Roy Clark. St. Francis is 6 out of 6 from the free throw line so far, helping them stay in this game with 8 minutes left to go in the first half. Wong turns the corner. Blocked. Athletic play from behind. Back inside, laying it up and in.
Miller's the kind of do everything guy from Miami. A lot of people as you talk to the Miami's opponents, think he is their most dangerous player because he can do so many things. He can rebound, he can shoot it, he defends very well.
Averaging 15 and 7 for the fifth-year senior. Rejected. Wong running the other way, 2-on-1. Wong with Poplar, who soars to the rim and scores.
Wong and Poplar used to playing together. They played on the same AAU program out of the Philadelphia area.
Now Miami's starting to get a lot of easy baskets in transition. Has fueled their run. Shooting 63% to St. Francis's 39%. Strong take to the rim, defended well. That was DeAndre Howell South on the drive.
This is where I think Wong is really good. When he changes pace, being able to get to the rim.
Tough break for St. Francis as it goes out of bounds to the Canes. 6.5 left to go, first half. Canes by 6. 10 challenge. Miami will host Rutgers next Wednesday on ESPNU here at the Watsco Center, 7:15 start. We saw some of the key players to look for in that game. Cliff Amori for Rutgers will be a good matchup inside as Miami's got the ball here, leading it by 6. Cleanly played first half and an offensive foul on Omier, his first.
Right now, Omier and Wong have only 3 points between them. And that's not a great recipe for Miami. They need more out of those two guys.
Wong came in averaging 15 a game, Omier 14 a game. And Omier's been largely a non-factor so far. Now he's D'ing up on Josiah Harris, who fumbled the ball out of bounds to Miami. With the way the ACC schedule is now, there are usually games before the new year. Miami opens its ACC schedule at Louisville on December 4th. You'll be there. Take on NC State on December 10th here. And of note, there are 2 St. Francis's. There's St. Francis Brooklyn and St. Francis, Pennsylvania. They will also host St. Francis, Pennsylvania here on December 17th. So they're playing both St. Francis's. They're both in the NEC.
I was going to let you explain that, partner.
That is the red flash, not to be confused with the Terriers, as the reverse layup wouldn't go. And a strong rebound there by Roy Clark.
And normally Miller finishes that at the rim. That's one of the things he does extremely well, is drive the ball and be able to use his athleticism to explode and finish.
Tipped pass in transition leads to a turnover. Believe it or not, these two schools have played relatively recently. They played in 2013 here, and St. Francis won that game in overtime. The only previous meeting was way back in 1963. So 1 apiece in this series, but both these coaches were at that game, Coach Larinaga and Coach Bryka. Poplar, I think he had bad intentions there to dunk that, but then he changed his mind in midair. He'll go to the line.
Great move, and that's the athleticism of Poplar, and that's what I'm saying. I think the strength of this Miami team can be its 2 wing guys with Poplar and Miller, and their ability to attack the basket and how well that they're going to have to come back and help rebound the basketball.
Second foul on Josiah Harris.
You know, you talk about the Big Ten ACC matchup. I remember when it first got started, and it was really a thing that made you get your team ready to play early, because before it, everybody was kind of playing at home and playing people that they could beat up on, and that really made you ramp up your practices and everything to get ready.
Hey, Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will get you set for another afternoon of football. At 6:30, get a complete wrap-up of those games. They'll get you set for the primetime matchup between Pitt and Miami on ACC Network at 8. After the game, the full post-game show to wrap up the night, all of it right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. 2 free throws for Poplar, and another, nope, not a turnover, but deflected out of bounds.
Joseph really, when he comes in the game, the defensive intensity changes. And that's why Coach Larinaga talked to us at shoot-around, talked about him playing and how important he was.
St. Francis led this game early 9-2, but Miami's resurgence has coincided with their uptick in defensive intensity. They're really getting after St. Francis on the defensive end. Another turnover. Jordan Miller feeds it ahead for Joseph. Stepping into a three, Poplar, he got it.
This Miami team is at its best when it's in transition, and the best way for it to be in transition is off of its defense.
Off a live ball turnover in particular. Coach Breica told us that can have the live ball turnovers. If you're going to turn it over, travel, throw it out of bounds, don't lead to a fast break. Moreno, top of the key three, well short. Coast to coast, turned away. Several players down behind the play. Moreno all the way to the rim. Crazy shot, rebounded by Omier.
They want to slow it down right now a little bit. I think they really would like to try to get the ball inside or run some dribble handoff stuff so they can get downhill.
Wong down the lane, and he'll go to the line. St. Francis on a scoring drought of over 4 minutes as Miami has taken control by 11. Earl Gables, Robert Lee, and the coach Barry Clark with you. And Coach, you mentioned getting out in transition, and so many teams across the nation struggle in the half-court offense now. It seems like everyone wants to get out in transition and run because that's really kind of the easiest way to score in a lot of cases.
Well, it is. The other part of it is a lot of these coaches have integrated new players because of the transfer portal into their lineup. So they're getting to know their players as well as their players are getting to know them. And the easiest way offensively to score is get easy baskets through your defense or off the turnover. So by pushing the ball, you really can help yourself offensively a great deal.
And Miami has utilized those easy baskets in transition as Wong missed the first to shoot 58% from the field. Here in the first half, St. Francis all the way down to 33% now.
You know, with this transfer portal, I like to explain it, it's like a blind man going into a blind room because you can't see each other, you don't really know each other. You've heard about each other, you've heard what a coach does, you heard what a player does, but you really don't know each other because you haven't been through experiences together, so you're trying to get a feel for what works and what doesn't work.
And really, you know, you're using your contacts, people you know in AAU, high school. Is this kid a good fit for us? Because, like you said, a lot of times you're going in blind and you don't really know, is this kid going to work out in our program?
Exactly, and some some coaches aren't really what the players thought, and some players aren't really what the coach thought.
And you factor in things like NIL and how much guys are going to play and promises of playing time, things like that, as Miller is blocked from behind. Good defense by the Terriers.
St. Francis is really playing well. Even if they're behind, they're still not forcing bad shots.
Grisby with his first three-point attempt of the season. Long run out for Omier in traffic. He'll rise and draw the foul on Grisby. A good foul by Grisby would have been an easy layup.
One of the things with Omier and just watching him is he's a young man that plays with angles. He really doesn't play above the rim, but he uses his body real well. He uses his upper body strength to finish real well around the rim, and that's going to be extremely important.
What a story Omier is. He hails from Nicaragua. We were told that he is the first ever scholarship basketball athlete from the country of Nicaragua in Central America. And his coach, Jim Larinaga, said he came to a camp in the United States with the intent of going pro and playing in Mexico. He's at a camp here in Miami, and the Miami Prep head coach said, "Who's that guy? Who is that?" Goes up, talks to him. He ends up at Arkansas State. He wins Freshman of the Year. He wins Player of the Year the next year. He goes into the portal. Now he's here at Miami putting up big numbers.
And they're very happy to have him. Yeah. And I tell you what, you're going to get a lot of people recruiting that area of the world a lot more with his ability to play as well as he does.
Such a global game as Miami forces another turnover, running in transition. Ball knocked away and stolen back by St. Francis.
Miami has not handled their transition as smooth as they normally do.
Good extra pass for a Wilcox three. Halfway down, rebounded by Miller. Wong thought about the step back three. Here's Omier. Transfer from Arkansas State. Now Wong, three from the corner. Omier pushed him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the second foul on Omier.
Omier will learn very quickly that these are really good officials in the ACC. And those slide little pushes he's not going to be able to get away with.
And the numbers he put up last year at Arkansas State as he checks out of the game, 18 and 12. He's the nation's active leader in rebounding average, 12 rebounds a game for his career. He was also the defensive player of the year with 57 blocks. He shot 63% from the field, and he really hasn't dropped off too much here. He's shooting 62% in a Canes uniform.
And I think the one thing you can notice, Wong is really trying to set him up. They're really trying to do a good job of getting him the ball, initiating through him.
Another turnover, good steal by Miller. Keep in mind, Nigel Pack, who's Miami's leading scorer tonight, has been mostly out of the game recently because of 2 fouls, as Wong will go back to the line.
This is going to be a really good backcourt, I think, for Miami, and probably maybe the strength of their team with Pack, Joseph, and Wong.
We've seen some amazing fans across the ACC. Now we need your help. This winter, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic, take a video, tag it with the hashtag #AllTheDevotion and post it to your social. You just might see it on ACC Network. So Miami's steadily pulling away, trailed 9-2 in this game early, as Wong is up to 5 points. The fourth-year junior from Piscataway, New Jersey, preseason first-team All-ACC and third-team All-League each of the last 2 years. Howell South's three is good. DeAndre Howell South, a much-needed shot for the Terriers.
The ACC St. Francis now coming with some pressure, but Joseph does a really good job of handling the ball and getting Miami into its offense.
Nice post feed and another foul will send A.J. Casey to the line.
This young man, they really have high hopes for. Casey comes out of Whitney Young High School, a great high school out of Chicago. I had about 3 players myself that came out of that high school. Very, very well coached, very disciplined.
Legendary program in the Windy City, also the alma mater of former First Lady Michelle Obama, and of note for people around here, former 1991 NFL #1 draft pick Russell Maryland, who played at the U, a defensive lineman, also a Whitney Young grad. Casey himself, a 4-star, top 60 type recruit, made 1 out of 2, and it will go over to St. Francis. But even when you play at a high-level high school like that, what is that adjustment like for freshmen coming into the college game?
Well, the biggest adjustment is that everybody ran everything for you in high school, and they're not running everything for you in college.
Howell South double-clutched, bailed out as the ball goes out of bounds.
And so there's a real need to learn to play with 4 other guys that are just as talented as you and sharing the basketball and having the same common interest and goals and not getting frustrated when you're not having a great night.
Six on the shot clock. Inside for Grisby, turns and shoots. Good effort there on the rebound by the Terriers, but it comes away to Miami, who can hold for 1. And they will, with 20 seconds left. And Jim Larinaga will call a timeout. They'll use it or lose it, timeout. We'll step aside for a 30-second timeout. Final 20 coming up from South Florida. Head coach Jim Larinaga and the Miami Hurricanes with a 12-point lead with 20 seconds left to go in the first half. Miami looking to improve to 5-1 on this young season. They head to Central Florida UCF on Sunday. We'll play them at 5 o'clock on ESPNU. We mentioned that Big Ten ACC Challenge against Rutgers next Wednesday back here, also on the U.
Pack has come back in the game for this final shot.
Pack had 12 points early, but had to step out with 2 fouls. This is an offensive possession
St. Francis kind of gone zone, trying to take away from what maybe what Coach Larrañaga's drawn up. Look for Pack to try to pop.
Tough shot for Wong, and that will be the end of the first half. All things considered, could have been worse for St. Francis. They came out and played well early.
I think St. Francis had a really good half. Miami got going defensively.
38-26 the score at the half. Halftime show was 1, and they feel like beyond that, it's wide open in that league. So St. Francis, who's never been to the big dance, feels like they've got a chance, especially after last year's champion, Bryant, left the league for the America East. So come March, that NEC tournament's going to be a barn burner.
And well, in the schedule that they're playing right now will really prepare them for that.
Harris lost the ball, another turnover, 3-on-2 for the Canes. Behind the back, Pack lays it up and in.
Pack is so clever for his size, being able to get the ball high on the glass above the shot blockers.
So immediately a turnover leads to a run out for Miami, which is kind of how the first half ended. Wilcox hit a 3 early, has been quiet since. 6 on the shot clock. Clark down the lane. Strong take to the rim, came up short, and gets the rebound to Grisby, who lays it back up and in. Grisby has played well. He's got 6 points.
Yeah, great initial stop by Miami and closing down the lane. They have to do a better job on the offensive glass.
Nigel Pack will run the point. He's got 14 points to lead the way for all scorers. He'll shoot a quick 3. And the rebound to the Terriers.
St. Francis really trying to space the floor. They're trying to use their ball screens to be able to attack the basket.
Grisby turned away. Tough pass ahead and out of bounds to St. Francis as Omier.
He showed some of that athleticism we were talking about earlier.
Goodness, could have gotten ugly there with the premium seats there, but he just did kind of a standing broad jump there.
Great effort by both guys. Great vertical.
6'7", 250 coming downhill to the cheer team. Good agility there by the Arkansas State transfer, the reigning Sun Belt Player of the Year in his first season with the Hurricanes.
Miami is really tightening up their defense. They're contesting every pass right now.
Grisby and Omier clears the glass. Wong has been quiet, only 5 points for Isaiah Wong. Fadeaway jumper, tough shot and out of bounds to St. Francis.
But I tell you what, they'll let Wong do that every time. He's really good scoring in the lane. Elevating in the lane, shooting over defenses. He's really good at that.
Canes led by 12 at the half, maintaining a double-digit cushion here. St. Francis looking to make a push. Down the lane, laying it up and in athletically. Roy Clark.
Omier got to come over and challenge that a little bit more. He can't give up a layup like that. He either has to take the charge or make a shot block.
Rolling to the rim. Fumbled the pass. Nice feed to Miller, who lays it in.
You know, one of the things I look at early in the season is see how teams share the basketball. This Miami team really likes each other. They share the basketball. I watch them in the huddles. They're always picking each other up. They've got really good chemistry, and that's a word coaches use a lot.
Josiah Harris throws it out of bounds.
You know, with so much talk about NILs and transfers and what type of chemistry teams would have in the locker room, this Jim Larrañaga's done a really good job with this Miami team.
Almost a highlight sequence there for Miami, but it will send the Canes to the line.
There you see, good pass right there on Omier does a good job of following. Again, he does a really good job of using his body, his upper body especially, to create space so that he can finish it around the rim.
And it really behooves Omier to be a good free throw shooter. You can tell he's the kind of player that's going to get to the line 6 or 8 times a game.
Well, he's going to get fouled a lot. I mean, he's so strong. And he really does a good job of using angles to be able to score at the rim.
5 points for Omier, 71% from the line coming into the game. Extends it to a 14-point lead, which matches Miami's biggest of the game. And another steal, cat quick by Omier. 3-on-1. Poplar will dunk it.
Really unselfish. Pack had the ball. He could have possibly shot it, but he got it off the Poplar so he could wind up finishing at the rim.
9 points now for Wooga Poplar. Wilcox. Quick three, rebounded by Pack. Biggest lead of the game for the Hurricanes. Poplar 2-on-1, alley-oop, hammers it!
They need a timeout. St. Francis needs a timeout. Miami's out, running, pushing the ball. There you see Poplar right there, throwing up to Omier. Great finish. Canes are in the house.
Last year, this Miami program surprised everyone. They were picked 12th in the ACC preseason poll, ended up winning 26 games, going all the way to the Elite Eight, where they lost to the eventual titleist Kansas. This year, they're picked fourth out of 15. They got a couple of first-place votes. How do you handle those different types of expectations going into the season?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with your guard play, and I think Wong is a veteran guard. I think he steadies this group down. Very impressed with Pack. I think the way he's blended into this team and the leadership of Jen Larinaga.
Will send us to another quick timeout. Just under 16 minutes to go. Look in the ESPN app. We've got 7-4 Wake Forest taking on 7-4 Duke in a Tobacco Road series. Goes back almost 100 years. That's at 3:30 Eastern. Then at 8 Eastern, 7-4 Pitt taking on Miami, looking to get bowl eligible. It's been an up and down season for the Canes, and head coach Mario Cristobal's first season here at the U. And they'll try to finish strong and qualify for a bowl with a win over Pitt. ACC Network this weekend.
St. Francis gone into a zone just to try to give Miami a different look.
Offensive rebound, but the putback would not go. It stays with Miami.
This is an interesting lineup Miami has because they're gone with now the 3 guards that they have with Joseph, Pack, and Wong.
This is Jordan Miller. Tough shot. He lost it on the way up. He still scores 6 points.
That's why he's so versatile for Miami. He does so many things. Now he's playing the 4 position for him.
Comes off 18 points against Maryland in their last game. No fear at the rim for Clark, met by Omier. It stays with St. Francis. Miller in his second year at Miami after 3 years at George Mason. Over 1,300 career points for the 5th-year senior. Josiah Harris, who we spotlighted in the open, has been very quiet for St. Francis. Dangerous pass, quick hands. Wilcox in amongst the trees, too strong. Rebounded by Miller. Canes on the run. Nigel Pack into the corner for a 3 for Wong. And Wilcox the board. End-to-end action here. Down the lane, Howell south. Reverse layup couldn't go. Omier the board.
This is the pace, though, Miami likes to play at.
Turnover. Heading the other way for a layup. Larry Moreno.
St. Francis now is trying to pick up the pace a little bit. They went with the zone earlier. Now they're going with full-court man. They're trying to throw a lot of different things at Miami just to try to keep them off balance a little bit.
Pack down the lane, high off the window and in. 16 for Nigel Pack.
Pack is very clever. He's got a lot of moves around the basket. He knows how to use his body. He's a very good offensive player.
Came in averaging 10.5. He's not a real big guy, just 6 feet tall.
Yes, this Miami defense now, they've really stepped it up this second half.
Omier coast to coast.
I was about to say, everybody on this Miami team can handle the basketball. So they don't turn it over very often because they're all really good ball handlers.
You mentioned how Miami's a little bit smallish height-wise, and in the ACC, they're going to certainly face bigger interior players than they're seeing here tonight. How do you compensate for that?
Well, I think you have to compensate with it with your skill set, with your defensive pressure, keeping people. They can't give up layups like that. I mean, you got to extend people and constantly pressure on the basketball. And it's going to be a challenge. I mean, it was a challenge last year. Coach Larranaga figured it out. He's going to have to figure it out this year, how to compensate for it, because they're even smaller than they were last year.
Omier. Good passing leads to a Jordan Miller three. Wilcox the rebound. And turns it over again. Wong step back three. He got it.
The thing about Wong is I really believe anytime he sets his mind to scoring, he's almost impossible to stop. But he's so unselfish and tries to get other people involved that scoring becomes a second thought to him instead of a primary thought.
He's got 8 points as Wilcox buries the three at the other end. He's also got 8 points. Would you like to see him be a little more assertive, trying to score earlier in the game?
Not necessarily, because I think he's a smart enough player that he recognizes the situation. I think he's trying to get everybody involved. He's trying to get Pack involved, Omier involved. So I don't blame him for that.
Pack turned away by the rim. Quick three at the other end. It's halfway down, rebounded by Pack. Long pass ahead. Sloppy play. Sloppy play as St. Francis comes away with it. Wilcox, another three. It's good. Tedrick Wilcox with the 11.
Coach Larranaga wants him to slow it down now, go back to running what we run. Pack will hear about that tomorrow in film session. Make the layup, son.
Miller, free throw line jumper is good.
That's the one thing about Jim Larranaga. I mean, he's been around. He doesn't get overly excited. He's always in control of his ball club.
This is Wilcox, who's caught fire with a couple threes in a row. Tedrick Wilcox draws the foul, and he'll go back to the line. Sends us to a timeout, Miami by 19. The uniform continues to climb up the school's all-time scoring chart, now just 4 points away from passing one of your former players, James Jones.
If he had a better coach, he'd have more points. James did an outstanding job. He came in as a 5, wound up playing the 3, had a great career in the NBA.
Who's that?
I don't know who that young fella is, but I had a lot more hair then. But James did just an outstanding job. He's the general manager and president of the Phoenix Suns. He's the type of young man that made everybody around him better. And that's what made him such a great exec in the NBA. But he was a really big-time scorer at 6'9".
Coach Perry Clark had a nice run here at Miami from 2000 to 2004. Mentioned that you had a season where you guys won 24 games, finished the season in the top 20, went to the NCAA tournament to see where this you were actually here when this building opened. You were the head coach then, about 20 years ago, but how far has this program come to be going to the Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight?
I tell you what, Coach Larranaga's done a tremendous job. He's given us some stability, which is needed, and has allowed this program to really grow. This building is a beautiful building. It was when it was built, and they have made it electric with their players and the way that they played.
And they moved to the ACC shortly after, and they've competed against the best teams in the ACC year in, year out. The Dukes, the Carolinas, had a lot of success against those teams.
They really did. And I remember a game we played against Connecticut when they were really good, and they were celebrating the football team winning the bowl game. And Jim Calhoun thought the ceremony went a little too long, and he was just going to walk out in the middle of it. And Jim's a tough guy, but I said, Jim, that's the Miami football team out there. You might want to rethink it. And he decided to wait for the ceremony to end. But a lot of really good moments, and this program has really done a great job in the ACC.
Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will get you ready for another afternoon of college football. At 6:30, you'll get a complete wrap-up of those games, and they'll get you set for the primetime matchup between Pitt and the Miami Hurricanes on ACC Network at 8. After the game, full post-game show to wrap up the night right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Omier misses 2 from the line. Quick 3. It's good. Have a game, Tedrick Wilcox. 15 points.
He is really shooting the ball well, but they're shooting the ball a little quick than what they, a lot quicker than what they did earlier.
Coach Larrañaga is not pleased. 30-second timeout for Miami. Green games recently over the past few years, and one of his former players and coaches, Michael Huger, is the head coach at Bowling Green. Played for Larrañaga at Bowling Green as Pack shoots a long 3 out of the timeout, and it's rebounded by St. Francis. He really marvels at how Coach Larrañaga, even though he is 73 years old, is still so successful because he can relate to this younger generation.
Well, Jim has a calmness to him, and he really has always liked people, and he has always tried to bring the best out of young people, so it just kind of fits.
St. Francis going to work on the glass. It stays. No, it goes over to the Canes.
Well, Coach Larrañaga is not happy right now with their defensive effort. They're getting beat on the glass, and right now their attitude is, we've got this game under control, and we kind of got it in cruise, and he understands that they can't do the things they need to do in the future if they have that kind of attitude. So he's trying to get them going again.
Yeah, it's a 40-minute game. I mean, it may be a 15-point lead, but it's not a 31-minute game as the turnaround jumper's way off the mark. Rebounded by Casey, and he's fouled.
That's a great effort by Casey. That's what they need him to do. You have to have guys on your team that can produce points for you, and you don't have to run everything for them, because you can't run everything for everybody. So some people have to be able to get it off the glass. They've got to be able to get it off of double teams. They've got to be able to get it out of transition, but they've got to manufacture points for you without you having to call their number or run a special play for them.
Casey to the line. Shooting's gone a little south for Miami.
But that's just mental concentration. That's the thing that's bothering Coach right now, is the things that mentally you can stay focused with and do, we're not doing. And so that's what he's going to be hard on them about.
And how hard is that? I mean, you're running the break, you're throwing alley-oops, you're dunking it, you're up 20+. How do you keep the kids' attention? I mean, naturally they're going, oh, the game's over, there's only 10 minutes left.
That's why coaches get paid that kind of money, because they're supposed to still do that. But you have to. I mean, it's about process, not always results.
Absolutely. It's a tough jumper is good. For Trey Quartelbaum, first time we've called his name out today. His dad, Fred, is actually the director of basketball operations at Kansas. And he and Coach Bryka were on the staff at St. John's before Coach Bryka took over at St. Francis. Long 3 for Nigel Pack.
People in the ACC are going to learn they're going to have to guard that young man, because he really is a really good three-point shooter.
And has a lot of range. He's got 19 points. Down the lane, blocked. Long rebound, Wilcox. He'll shoot from the logo. Why not? Tedrick Wilcox has 18 points.
I am very impressed with the St. Francis team. They have not backed up. They've changed their defenses now, trying to take some things away from Miami, but they've been really aggressive on the glass, and they've stayed competitive.
Wilcox came into the game 2 out of 9 from beyond the arc. He's 5 for 9 tonight as the 3 is no good. Wong the rebound. Wong to the rim, lays it up and in.
That's what Wong does so well. He attacks the basket. And that young man, that's what I talked about earlier, he can turn it on in a minute. I mean, he really can go get a basket whenever he wants to.
Season high for Wilcox was 10 coming in. He's got 18 tonight. He's a transfer from Division II Dominican College where he scored 29 once. As the shot is partially blocked. Here come the Canes. Pack steps back, didn't want to shoot the 3, passes it off to Joseph. Long rebound, save back in to Moreno. All the way to the rim, lays it up, no good. End-to-end action, Pack the other way, sneaking out. Pack will lay it up and in.
Again, though, Miami cannot be pleased with the defense. The way St. Francis is getting to the rim, they just missed some easy shots there. You can't let them get to the rim that easy and uncontested.
6.5 to go in this one. Miami up by 18. There are different ways to make a name for yourself. And for St. Francis senior Larry Moreno, that's doing trick shots. He has over 133,000 followers on Instagram, which is about 133,000 more than Coach and I have combined. But you see some of his shots here. He goes by Light Cheese. He's got some merchandise deals. He's got some NIL deals. That's some good stuff right there. Light Cheese, Larry Moreno making a name for himself on Instagram. What a time to be alive.
I'm telling you.
Different ways. Hey, he's making a living for himself while he's still in college, and we appreciate that. He's got 8 points on the court here tonight. None of them have been of the trick shot variety. As Clark down the lane, he draws the foul.
See, but you have to cut off that drive. Either the guard up top that's guarding the defensive player up top has to come in the lane and help and protect, or the center coming over and stopping the penetration. Guys are getting, St. Francis is getting to the rim, and they're getting clean looks at the rim. They've missed a few, but they're getting clean looks at the rim. And once they get in the ACC, you're going to have bigger, better players being able to do that. So, you know, when Miami played Maryland, one of the things that Coach Larinaga was talking about, how physical Maryland was and how dominant they were on the inside.
1 out of 2 for Clark. And certainly the physicality and the athleticism that you're going to see from an ACC opponent is different than what you're going to see from a team out of the Northeast Conference. Zone defense here for St. Francis, carved up beautifully by Omier, who finishes.
That's what this Miami team, I think they're very skilled players, and I think they share the basketball very well. And again, they're going with a 3-guard look. This might be their most efficient offensive lineup.
Wilcox with the heat check, came up short. Tough bounce pass in transition. Ball's loose on the floor, and it's picked up by Josiah Harris. Good ball movement here by St. Francis. Leads to an open 3. It's good. Nice looking offense there. Quarter bomb the 3.
Patience now. Miami just needs to have a little patience, run some good offense. They'll wind up with a good look.
Pack probing the defense. Fadeaway jumper is good. Season high 23 for Nigel Pack.
They use that dribble handoff a lot to allow guards to be able to get into the lane and create. They also run that dribble handoff and then have a big man come up and set a ball screen.
Three from the corner for Quartelbaum. Omier vacuums up the rebound. Omier's 9th board of the game. At the other end, Omier, 10th board of the game. Double-double, 38th of his career. Out of bounds to Miami. Now 15 and 10 for Omier.
Omier does a really good job of running the floor, and he gets really good position, and he's able to use angles to finish. And offensively, he's so unselfish. I mean, when he gets the ball, he's looking to make the next pass.
Wong, tough shot. He'll go to the line. Final media timeout. Miami up by 20. The ESPN app. On Tobacco Road at 7-4, Wake Forest taking on 7-4 Duke. That's at 3:30 Eastern. Then at 8 Eastern. This series dates back to 1950. 7-4 Pittsburgh. They've won 3 in a row. They take on Miami, looking to get bowl eligible. The Canes and the Panthers. 8 o'clock start. Nigel Pack's had the big night. It's the most points any Hurricane has scored all season, 23.
He's really played extremely well. And again, I think this is a time when this Hurricane team is starting to come together. They came off a great tournament run, and now coming right back home playing Thanksgiving. Students aren't here. All their friends have kind of gone home. I think they've kind of sleptwalked some of the game, but for the most part, they've been involved and been very enthusiastic and very efficient in what they're trying to do.
Definitely brought a lot of defensive energy after a slow start. Robert Lee and Perry Clark with you from the Watsco Center in Coral Gables. Miami 3.5 minutes away from its 5th victory of the season. Wilcox had it stolen away. Wong running the other way. Wong had it knocked away. Back to St. Francis. Certainly not the crispest performance by Miami or St. Francis for that matter, but that's to be expected this early in the season.
You know, but I think both of these two teams will benefit from this game because I think that Miami has been efficient when they needed to be efficient, and they picked it up when they needed to pick it up. I think for St. Francis, I think they have hung tough. They've executed. They've played hard, and I think they'll benefit out of this game.
They definitely have things to build on. I mean, they're taking on a team with athleticism like they're not going to see in the Northeast Conference. And they've acquitted themselves relatively well. You're looking at it, you say it's a 22-point lead, but they've been competitive throughout. Just a lot of turnovers have led to a lot of runouts and easy baskets. Desperation shot at the buzzer, shot clock violation. That dunk on the last possession for Miami was from Favor Ire, his first 2 of the game.
But I've been really impressed with Miami's defense when they've really had to lock in, and they've done a really good job with that. And when they needed to clean up their rebounding, they've cleaned up their rebounding. But I think from a standpoint of being able to execute offensively, their skill set offensively, I think they're very talented.
Miami will improve to 5-1, heading into a matchup at UCF on Sunday at 5.
That's going to be a heck of a ball game. So the one last year, Johnny Dawkins has that team playing very well.
Turnover. And it'll stay with St. Francis. That was Harlan Beverly who just checked into the game for Miami, who turned it over as both teams getting some of their reserves, some playing time. Danilo Jovanovic, a freshman from Milwaukee, checks in for Miami. He'll replace Nigel Pack. We'll get a nice hand as he checks out.
You know, when you bring new guys in, especially new guys that are scorers, you know, getting them integrated and getting the chemistry is really not the easiest thing, and Coach Larinaga done a really good job with that tonight.
Zion Bethea doubles his point total with a field goal. This is Christian Watson, a freshman from Maryland. Athletic taking a score.
He's a big-time athlete. Puts the ball on the floor real well, very skilled.
St. Francis will fall to 2-3. They play at South Florida on Friday. They're actually going to stay in town here overnight and then bus up to South Florida and Tampa tomorrow morning. before playing on Friday in the afternoon and then flying back to New York City on Friday night.
You know, but St. Francis stayed within the things that they do well. They haven't made a lot of special adjustments for Miami. They've just missed some easy shots, but they really played well.
Watson, Bethea clears the glass in the final minute. And a timeout. I think they're just
the coach trying to get everybody in the game.
Yep. So no actual huddling, just a chance for St. Francis to get Michael Parada into the game. His dad, Tom, actually an assistant at Hofstra and a former head coach at Canisius. Also Matthew Gonzalez into the game, a sophomore from Brooklyn.
Miami has a tough stretch coming up. They have Rutgers, then they've got to go to Louisville to open the ACC season, and those games are going to be very difficult.
Foul as Michael Myrie attacked the basket. Myrie at the line, the team's only true freshman. He's from Baltimore, averaging about a point a game this season. St. Francis of Brooklyn beat Miami here 9 years ago. They will not tonight. Miami will win the second out of 3 games in this series. Ire the rebound. Well, you see Ire. He's a freshman from Nigeria with a 7'3" wingspan, and I believe it. He covers half the court when he extends his arms.
He really does, and he's really explosive. I watched him in shoot around. He's got good hands, too.
Oh, Watson wanted to just hammer it. He was fouled.
That was a great drive right there. See him finish at the rim. But see how high he was above the rim. I mean, that explosiveness. Coaches talked about bringing some of these guys along. And
Watson, a true freshman from Lanham, Maryland, playing in his 3rd game of the season.
that D.C. area has been awful good to Jim Larinaga, and so it's a lot of talent there.
Former head coach at George Mason, where he took them to the Final Four. There's a lot of relationships in that area for sure. Final 20 seconds. Portal bomb. Into the corner for a three that's blocked, hit the side of the backboard. Final 4 seconds here. 1 second left. That basket counts, significant to some. 25-point victory on the dunk at the buzzer.
It was a great team win by the Hurricanes. They got the defense up when they wanted to. Offensively, they really did a good job executing, sharing the basketball. And really a good team win.
81-56 the final. Miami improves to 5-1. St. Francis falls to 2-3. We're going to take a 90-second timeout. We plan on being joined by Nigel Pack when we return.